Hi again. Let's continue. So now we will look to the Let me before going into specific theories actually different focus points of the world economy. So currently, in the previous parts we have seen the theories and how we can use the theories, uh, and in this course, basically, this course is not the course where you necessarily need to learn new theories, although some theories I will mention might be the ones you haven't seen, and there are resources where you can learn those theories in more detail. But rather, we will think about potential theories and models that might be useful basically for understanding world economy and just go over them. Those theories and models are the ones you might have seen in the previous courses. And we should also think about, especially if you know the theories and models already, how useful those theories and models are when you study them, when you use them to study world economy, and basically also what are their limits in studying world economy. And can there be some alternative and better ways? I mean, do we need some other model or theory, and should we look for different alternative options? If you start to ask these questions, even if you are not a social scientist yourself, you might at least look for potential options, and you might find some social scientist who has some useful models, and that might be useful for your understanding of the world economy, the way you want to understand the world economy. And even as a private sector employer, that might be a useful thing for you to do. But anyway, so in other words, we are setting the framework here. And using this framework, you can I try to introduce you to the framework, and you can choose different aspects of this framework and learn more on those aspects. And I will very much like to provide you the resources and even discuss the details of different aspects of this framework. Anyway, the issues, when we talk about issues of world economy, I mean, the issues that are most at the focus of it. They are growth and development, in which we also compare the countries. They are both country specific, but also they are global, because we also see them in the global. We also study them at a global framework. I mean, we see the relative strength of countries in terms of growth and development. Stability, being able to decrease the severity of the crisis basically, not fluctuating up and down, and living these periods where the production level falls to very low levels, basically, because that harms those long periods harms society. Inequality and poverty, both at the global level and at country and regional level, basically, what are the causes of it, and how can it be combated at global level, and can it be combated at global level? And global connectedness, the workers that are traveling throughout the world, capital investments, the companies going different parts of the world, and trade, and how this connectedness actually connects the economic system of different countries also together, and maybe even making it impossible to study. The world system economy is actually claiming this. Maybe we are going into direction. Maybe they are right. When the studying national economies might be not so useful, especially in isolated manner, basically. So this connectedness, and what this connectedness actually means, is another focus point. this process of building, the process of this increasing connectedness is called basically globalization, as you might know already. So let's mention one by one the different models, theories, or frameworks, which I won't go into very deep detail on them, but I will introduce them, and even if you don't know after the introduction, you will know basics of this model, framework, or theory, but you can learn details if you want by yourself, if you don't know already. So the first one is the world system theory. I have already mentioned some basics of it. It is studying the world as a single unit, and countries are part of the integrated system. And this whole system has its own rules, and those rules actually determine how countries behave. And here, actually, it also criticizes the Marxian theory from which it comes from. For example, in Marxian theory, it is usually taken, in the most basic sense of Marxian theory, developed by Marx, takes certain countries as the countries with feudal-like economic conditions. And later, of course, we had some countries who claim to be communist countries. World system theory basically argues that we have a single world system since at least beginning of the 19th century. And in this system is a global capitalist system, and all elements of this global capitalist system should obey the rules of the global capitalist system. The African countries or the countries like United States or Brazil in 19th century, which still had slavery even, and communist countries as well, need to obey global capitalist rules. So global capitalist system also set certain rules to which the communist countries or the feudal-looking countries should also follow. But basically, this system has, there are different rules of this system. The most important rule is you should basically accumulate as fast as possible. You should basically increase your productivity, the productivity of your economic system. And while you are aiming to do that, you also need to continuously invest. To take as much as possible product or income and invest it again to increase the production level, basically. According to this school, and also according to this school, there are three different regions of the world, not geographic regions, but economic regions. Countries at different parts of the world might belong to any three of this: core, periphery, and semi-periphery. Basically, core is producing critical products, the products all countries need to survive. So this gives them power. They can produce those critical products because they are the most productive countries and they can choose what to produce, basically. And they got most out of the global distribution. However, their population is more productive, but also more organized, which means they need to share part of this, what get from the global share with the workers. The capitalists or the high income groups should share with the workers basically what they got from the global production. Periphery usually produces agricultural products and mines, basically certain inputs, not more. And basically they produce agricultural products because maybe their soil is more advantageous to produce certain product, or they have certain mines which don't exist in the rest of the world. Even if there are some other mines in developed countries, you might also want the silver or gold or iron in that country also out. If you can get out it, you can sell it. the population is less organized there, so you need to give them less out of what the country gets out of the global production. Usually states in those countries are less powerful, and even the people who are connecting this country with the rest of the world don't want that strong government, because challenging your position, your share from the global production might also make the periphery country go get disconnected from the rest of the world. Usually the people who are connecting this country with the rest of the world and getting income out of this connection don't want the connections to be severed. And semi-periphery, it's called luxuries products. I mean, they still produce relatively high-value products, but not necessities. They are kind of in the middle. I mean, they get medium amount of share, and their populations are at medium level. They have medium level of organization. So this is the world system theory, and it also argues that in the core you also have a hegemony, which is basically organizing this world system and solving this problem, but it's not dominant enough to dominate and dictate all agents, all countries, basically how they should act. They don't organize the world directly, but they can set certain rules, and they can also create some organizations to solve systemic level problems. We will see world system theories analysis of the world economy in coming parts in more detail. We see also some theories also in more detail, not only world system theory actually, some of these models more detail. Some of these theories more detail. Let me go further. Ricardian model of international trade. This is the most famous international economics model. You might have heard it in even an introduction to economics course. You might have heard on it. Basic idea is basically trade benefits all countries, even if some of them are less productive than the others. The main point is the countries should be concentrate on the trade allows countries on concentrate on production of the good at which they are most advantageous. If USA is relatively more productive in, let's say, producing chocolate bars, well, when they concentrate on producing chocolate bars, let's say, they can produce 2,000 chocolate bars instead of 1,000. And another country might be more advantages in producing motor cars, so instead of producing, they might be not that advantages in producing chocolate bars, so they might be only able to produce 10 chocolate bars. So basically, but when they produce motor cars, they can produce 500 motor cars. So basically, when they concentrate just on production of motor cars, they can produce, let's say, 500 motor cars. So, by just concentrating, if this country would produce both motor cars and chocolate bars, in that case, basically it would produce 5 motor cars and 5,000 chocolate bars. But if it just produces chocolate bars, it can produce 2,000 chocolate bars. It can give, well, for example, 500 of it, and buy from the country which produces, which is more advantageous in producing motor cars, 100 motor cars. So basically, if when you allocate all your resources to one production, you can produce a lot of this production. Ricardian model says everyone should produce at the thing where they are best. So by doing that, the production level in the world will rise up. Of course, everyone will produce one particular good in that case, but they will trade with each other, and since production level in general has risen up, after the trade, everyone will have more of all of the products produced in the global economic system. These are the basics. If you want detail, I can provide you information with a lot more detail on Ricardian theory. You can also find it. Basically, it's a very, very famous theory. But anyway, let's stop here and let's continue in the next part.